In addition, we also prepared Millet. Su7's Divine Power Kosa Demon Lord for everyone to experience. Update the link to our Shenli Kosa server. And the download link of Su7. Come and learn with us. If we're talking about domestic performance cars and automotive sport, immediately and even the entire Geely brand, we can't get around it. After all, they are indeed the pioneers of Chinese motorsport. The most gratifying thing about these 2 years is, due to the increasing number of Chinese manufacturers, finally began to look for driving enthusiasts, whether it is the GAC legend in the field of old trucks, Detonate 2, or our other contestant today, Xiaomi, are rising stars in this field. Therefore, this comparison, it's more like a battle between a veteran and a rookie. Before the official circle, we also invited professional driver Zheng Shengguan, have a track chase with Soy Milk. Then, let's hand the camera to Zheng Shengguan and Doyu. Okay, the game is about to start. Soybean Milk and Teacher Shangguan rush to the big finger together. The first round begins. Teacher Shangguan drives the 007 performance version. Fork into turn 1. The driving characteristics of the 2 cars are different. The rear wheel of Su7 had already slid. In comparison, 7's dynamic appears to be more stable. This is important to Mr. Shangguan. The running methods of the case complement each other. 2 cars come to turn 4. Wow, with the heavy brake of Teacher Shangguan. 7's brake doors are all sprayed out. Torpedo found on the left string of the lease. Fortunately, it missed the target. Suddenly the 2 cars splashed with water. Coming to bay 5. Ha ha ha, don't miss the breaking point, ha ha. Turn 5 is really wet. Then your wave is directly sweating. Ready to come to bay 7. Shangguan also doesn't give any face. Almost 4 rounds out of the white line again. Come to bay 9. 7's brake powder is sprayed again. I can only say that it is one who dare not open it. One is not afraid of death, but it's normal. Getting used to driving a fuel-efficient car. Possibly against Pegasus turn 1. I'm not familiar with the past of going to the wall. After all, Soy Milk is almost personal experience and can't stop. Now back to turn 12. The first round of chasing has come to an end. Ready to start the second round of offense and defense. In turn 1, both parties choose to change locations. Now there is a 007 who attacks the lease first and then pursues it. 7 who saw the brakes smoking in the mirror, and he chose to keep a distance. Now switch to the interior view of the Su7. 7 ahead chose a late curve run, although this method of running has no martial arts ethics, but also very fast. Suddenly just pressed into the puddle. His tits are wet. Dump me in the face. Ha ha, it's not one once in this time. I can't stop this time. The little milk also perfectly replicated the mistake of the front car. Wrong concern together. Come to base 7. Shangguan is still running in 4 rounds out of the white line. Run very hard. After all, professional drivers still have to keep their jobs. How can you let the little milk catch up easily? The choice of braking point is also quite late. Is the view from the rear car so scary? It's right to stay away. In case both of your brake pads are gone, the difference between paying for 1 and paying for 2 is quite big. Past Yama Stone and turn 11. These 2 people have gone further and further. You see a turn and paddle in. 1 out of the corner. If you don't stop, you'll really hit a wall. I declare directly that the result of this game is a tie. You can enjoy it. Before entering the lap race, let's first. These 2 cars have a straight line acceleration competition. Go directly to the grades. Ambient temperature 26 degrees Celsius. Both cars have more than 80% power. Both start with ejection. The measured acceleration scores are: check 007 4-wheel drive 0 to 100 km per hour in 3.21 seconds, 60 to 100 km per hour in 4.41 seconds, 100 to 200 km per hour in 6.73 seconds, 0 to 400 meters time 10.89 seconds. Tail of the collision line is 207.83 km per hour. And Xiaomi Su7 Mets is 0 to 100 km per hour. 3.19 seconds 61,600 for 0.6 100 to 1,007.44 seconds 0 to 400 meters 11.06 seconds. What about the mantis of the collision line? 200 to 0.17 km. Obviously in terms of linear acceleration, especially medium goods, it is difficult to speed up. Or the 007 4-wheel drive performance board is better. Can 007 take advantage of this? Beat Su7 at Pegasus Speedway. Let me explain before this brush circle. Because of us this time, it's a private Pegasus Speedway, so time is relatively tight, including heat dissipation. About a car runs about to speeding laps. So the performance of the 2 cars can only be close to the limit. Car accident. Due to the investigation, immediate 007 4-wheel drive Manchuria. The brake pads are almost polished. Brand new brake. Put him on. And the same is true for Xiaomi. Replace the cracked brake pads. Replace with a brand new inner upgraded brake leather. The tire pressure setting is 6 hot tires at 2 o'clock. In terms of tire condition, the sides are also similar. They are all old tires with certain peeling and wear. And it is said that the Xiaomi Su7 set of PZ actor or Rothschild in this game. What about the ground condition? Although it has done a lot more than when it was chased away, but it's still a little humid in parts. There are also a few standing water on the track. The track is clearly not in good condition. Mode screen Su7 for master mode. Energy recovery is manual 30% DC SD full off. And Geek 007 here. What about the Polar engineer on site? It is recommended that we do not use the 007 competition. Say it's because the competition mode is sports. So use the full motion setting directly. It will be better to add ESD to the whole level. Okay, then enter a Xiaomi's car next. Today's showdown of the century is still the Su7 Vs 07. We have brushed the results of both cars. In the interest of fairness, let's do another kill on the same day and under the same conditions. Neither car is on the wall. Su7 until the end. The number 1,800,007 is no less. Ran the tail end of 180 km/h. What a strange turn for 07. To 600 horsepower 2-ton heavyweight monsters. Accelerate together towards turn 4. Suzy is now 1 car ahead. And the telephone pole in front of turn 4. The same kick. Seeking brake alignment with peace of mind. The maximum distance between both cars is 1.3 distance. It's about the same. Suzy takes the lead and removes the detour. Re-brake into turn 5. Stop the brake and align it with the curved star. The food between the two cars is very. Exit the corner and continue to maintain the steering. Suzy, there has been a backlash and a gig O-line dynamic. Still maintain a steady state by a push state. Hit the brake and enter turn 7. There is still a big puddle of water on the curved star road. The speed is 90 km/h. Right through the dragon rack to bay 9. Jongsha Su7 is very accurate and smooth. And when 007 is with T1 on the other side, the front axle is very twisted. However, 7's ESP is completely turned off at this time, so 7's John looks very violent. But it doesn't help either, because at this moment, the second difference between Su7 and 07. There is still a pool of water between Ben's 10 to 11 and Ben's Star Road. 7 wants to catch up with Su7 is already naked. Accelerate small to turn 12. The wiring of the two cars is very close. Milk delivery does not favor any one car. All want to do their fastest lap. As for the difference between the two cars, what is the difference? The final lap time of the Su7 is 1 minute 10.8. The RMB performance version is 1 minute 12.16. Obviously, these are not fully dry track conditions. Really can't afford it. Come on, I replaced it with a Su7 with PZ and X tires. Only 1 minute 10.87 seconds was swiped. You know, the last time we used the PS1V without T9 stopping. All ran to 1 minute 10 seconds 92. Okay, back to business. The conditions on this track are not very good. What about the track comparison one after another? Equipped with Michelin DS4S, Geek 007 for Bi-4 performance version of tires, and Mi Su7 Max equipped with Pirelli PZ5X. The lap difference at Pegasus Speedway is 1.3 seconds. There's another little interlude. What about this sunset? The ecosystem on the track is very good. The first speeding circle of 07 is at T50. To avoid a cat crossing the track. Lost time. So I had to do it all over again. But the testing time is really limited. I did 2 turns of heat dissipation. I immediately went on the second speed lap. But clearly, 2 laps is not enough. Therefore, 7 the second speed lap of the fastest time of the day. Start at turn 5. The brakes are already thermally attenuated. This will also affect the final lap time, but even in these 2 circles, the fastest parts fit together. As for 007, it will still be about a second slower than the most bizarre thing is from the logo data. The 2 cars have about the same tail speed. Horizontal valuation is still about the same. So, where is 007 sold? In fact, within a very limited testing time, the Su7 Max is slower than the 007 4-wheel drive. It's easier to get results. It's very important, because the subjective driving experience of the 2 cars is quite different. The first point is the feel of the brakes. After I got off Suzy and switched to 007. Hitting the brakes feels like stepping on cotton. Soft brake foot. So, his brakes are actually, it is also easy to decay. Just the brakes. It makes the driver feel very much in need, and have no confidence. The tram is at the tail speed of Chama. It's already over 180 km/h. What about to 0.2 tons? It's not like you just stop. I'm really afraid I can't stop. Plug it directly into the wall to do the question. This is a life-consuming and wallet-consuming process. The second point is the feeling of 007 in the bay. Worse than Su7. If the Su7 is a sedan, then the 007 feels like an SUV. Like from the corner. It is obvious from the car. 7 4-wheel drive performance version in the process of turning. I want to fix obviously more. And that's because physically you've set the direction. But didn't go into the bend like your Jade. Then after a reaction period, you'll see the front of the car turn in a little more. However, the steering wheel did not hit more. Always maintain that angle. Is there a response from the front of the car? The gap between the book and the hand. Put these 2 together. The result is that the 007 4-wheel drive performance is instant. It is very difficult to brake during the entry phase. Either the front of the car doesn't bend, either the front axle is gaining the force. Suddenly went in. So, in the entry phase, it is the place where 007 sells the most compared to Suzy. Let's look at the data again. Instant 007 for Bi-4 performance compared to replacing the original Suzy Max with upgraded brake pads. There is also a difference in deceleration efficiency. Let's take a look at the speed curve before T5 enters the corner. Suzy Max obviously brakes more efficiently. A similar situation occurred before T9 entered the corner, and you will find T5. T7 T9 every while. The actual bending core of 007 is a little earlier. And that's what happens with his bending posture. This loss on the turn. It also caused the disadvantage of cornering to be filled in on the result. For example, 5th, start from braking to swimming out of the corner. This brings a 0.1 second cycle. Doesn't seem like much, does it? But think about it. If every turn is like this 0.1 second slower, then this circle is incredible. When exiting the corner, since I found the correct way to open it this time, no contest mode. I didn't expect this one. 7 has completely lifted the seal. I was surprised to find the ESP of 007 almost completely ignore you. Even the intervention to protect the differential. There is no such sport mode plus manual ESP. It's freer than this competition. Who would have thought that? The result of all ESP is 7 is more prone to front wheel idling when exiting the bay. When exiting the customs for the wine, the right front wheel directly pulled the cigarette. Too much front wheel power output. It will lead to significant understeering in the customs clearance, although this can be controlled by the accelerator, but the throttle response of the dissociator. It's really not a follow-up. So within a limited speed. Really hard to master. It's also easy to see in the data. For example, here is the acceleration curve of what about when you go out? The inner person in front slides. That's causing the acceleration here again. There was a brief interruption. Affects the acceleration efficiency of the safe. Look at this 600 horsepower car. If ESP doesn't blame you at all, is it a little difficult to open? In general, Zeekr 7. It is a car that requires the driver to be familiar with it after a certain period of time. This is also why we often emphasize how important is subjective driving because of subjective driving experience. Objective lap time and shaft performance. The most important thing is to drive a cool car. That's how you run fast. This is also the biggest advantage of the lease term. First time you drive, you can drive anywhere. Drivers can naturally also reaching the limit in less time. Then replace it with the Xiaomi Su7 with PZX. Today's track status and last time using PS worse than 1v10. But it can also be perceived from individual corners. The difference between PZ5 and PS1V. So the most intuitive feeling for me is PZ4X may indeed be better in the horizontal direction than PS. 1 meter is stronger, but this little gap. It's hard to show in the data. Just say PZ5X. It is still a set of energy-saving and environmentally friendly silent tires. So, you also don't want to check the grip performance of this set of tires when an unrealistic fantasy, and from brake efficiency and ESP when charging. Interventions are more frequent. The DJ5X public grip may not be as good as the PS1V. And finally, to paraphrase a famous singing artist. This time, this PS lap is also 0.2 seconds faster PS1V. You can tell. The two cars are really neck and neck. Peak 007 on the line against Xiaomi. Su7 launched a powerful offensive. On the track, Su7 surpasses its predecessor Zeekr 007 as a rising star. Thank you Soy Milk, bringing us this wonderful comparison test. Speak your heart, I can see you there. When discussing the driving aspects of the two cars, we are really relieved in our hearts. This is the CDM landscape I want to see. 100 schools of thought. It's no longer a press conference, it's just about refrigerators and soap. The two families really give us a bunch of people who love cars. A shot in the arm for friends who like racing. But it also caused me new worries, so big. The horsepower accelerates so fast. But at this price, there is also a need to consider household. Braking becomes a difficult balancing issue. Especially with that much power. Vergehauern may be more dangerous. So we may still be short of one. Slightly less horsepower. Lighter, purer, more fun to drive. So that the CDM can be more complete. But this day comes. Manufacturer required. See the savings of our driving enthusiasts in this market. If you like our videos, please pay attention. Throw into more small coins. It will be of great help to us. For Chinese cars. Also a very good support. See you next time.